Today we're going to talk to a very successful school developer that started as a pastor. Now his schools have grown to many different states and now internationally. And he will give us a great advice about developing, about networking and relationships, and some personal advice that together will give us a great insight of this fascinating business of development. Well, to me, it's a pleasure to have you here, not only because we have become friends, but you, as a client, you are an amazing developer, a school developer, that when we discuss how it happened, the story, I'm pretty amazed because most of the people that become developers, the first thing that they run away from was anything that has to do with environmental concerns. And if there's something...
We love dirty dirt. We love it.
That's pretty amazing. And considering where you come from, I mean, you were the pastor, from pastor to developer, to visionary, to developer. And now, how many schools do you guys have?
We've got 6 campuses total. We've got 4 in South Florida. We've got 1 in Miami, 1 in Delray, 1 in West Palm Beach. We have a standalone special needs school in Miami, and then we've got 2 in Texas, 1 in Houston, 1 in Austin, and we're soon, in the next few years, opening a 7th campus in Dallas, and then we're also looking to expand it to international campuses where we can kind of flip the model and serve the underserved population. So,
interesting. Where?
We've got a couple, maybe Colombia.
Oh,
That's
okay.
near and dear to my heart. So
Same here. Good,
Yeah.
good. The interesting part is how long? I mean, it has been how many years since
this is our 20th year. So 20 years, 2 decades. We started in 2004 in Doral. And we had lived in Colombia. Circumstances there made us move back here to the States. And my dad was called by God, as we would say, to go down to Miami to start. And his vision was start a private Christian school. And then our hope was through the school, we'd create a church. And just God has blessed it way more than we had ever hoped. So very grateful.
Yeah, your campus here is the best in the city and probably competing in one of the best in the state. I think my 3 children have gone to school there.
Yeah, no, thank you. That means a lot. We've known each other for 16, 17, 18 years, something crazy. And so you've seen it grow too. And plug for Catano and Cornerstone. He's been a big part of our development and moving this thing forward. So
Thank you. I had a story. I moved around. I'm an immigrant twice, so I moved around from school to school, and that was difficult. It built my self-esteem, I guess, but it was intense. I always had to get into a fight. I never really had true friends. That moving around was never good, and I was really, for selfish reasons, I was always looking out for you guys to grow all the way down to high school. It was my personal reasons.
Yeah.
That became an obsession. Why don't we buy the land behind? Why don't we buy this land? Always obsessed about that because it was a personal reason. However, it turned out to be amazing. Not only, we did something great together, that we were able to put this acquisition together, that you did what you did. But since that point forward, I mean, it's just shocked, because after that experience, I didn't think you will ever touch another piece of dirt. I mean, just to put things in perspective, your site it used to be a construction debris dump site back in the days.
thank you for reminding me. You know what it is? I really believe this. God tells you what you need to know, and you need to know it. Because had we known at the time the land we were buying was everything you said, right? This beautiful dump, we would have never bought it. Right? I would have been in a warehouse in Medley somewhere.
Yeah.
But now I've got one of the best sites to me in Doral.
Yeah, for sure.
I have frontage on 58th. The city's jumped us. I'm almost like the equator of the city now. I've got the Trump Resort across the street. So it's a good thing we were as dumb as we were, right?
Yeah.
Because had we been smarter, we would have made a really dumb decision.
Right.
And so you just see how it all works out.
Yeah, it did. Your campus is gorgeous. It's big. It's beautiful. And I guess the first one of many, because every other one that you built has those characteristics. I mean, you're not building little schools, you're building real schools. A lot of students. Let me ask you, since you are not afraid of developing now, what did you learn from all these headaches and all these difficulties? Because you, from your point of view, was different.
What I've learned now, it's a lot. I would say, from a development standpoint, what have I learned? That you can't have too much land. That's one thing that has really struck me as we've tried to grow our campuses. And I know it's hard to spend money on dirt, especially when you're starting out. But unlike buildings that you can expand or add to or renovate, land is a finite resource. When it's gone, it's gone. And so you have to get it while you can get it. I also think, like, if you're in the right area, you're rarely going to lose over time on land. And so to me, it's an asset that's like incredibly flexible, right? I can use it to expand my footprint, to make everything bigger and better. I can leverage it, right, to do something somewhere else. Or it can be a land bank and I can cash it out and take the capital. So to me, land, get as much as you can.
It's easy to say because it's harder to leverage, right? And there's no cash flow. So you think about it, is the least desirable one because of it's a little bit more complicated. You have to come up with a check, or you have to have equity elsewhere and come up with that equity to buy the land. But you're right. The opportunities are endless. As a city, as a community grows, zoning changes.
Yes. And again, it's a finite resource, right? So when you have it, you have all this flexibility, right? It's a piggy bank. When you don't have it, you're kind of stuck. And so as we've grown to our campuses in Texas, one of the things we're doing is just land acquisition, right? Now, again, everybody's situation's different. As a 501(c), I don't pay property taxes. So my carrying costs are minimal, right? But there's a way to get around that, even if you're for profit, right? There's ag reserves and all kinds of exemptions you can try to work. So I just think land is super important, and it's the future, of any organization, is having that ability. Nice. From an operating standpoint, I've learned that you can't scale at any level of significance unless you have a great team. And I would say from day one, like the first 5 people you hire, you need to start trying to identify who those future leaders are. Because again, I don't care if you think you're Superman. I don't care if you say, I want to work 80 hours a week. I'm a monster. At some point in your organization, you're going to become the choke point. If you don't have people like around you that can do it better, if not as good as you. So operationally, I've learned you have to have a great team. And it's probably what I appreciate the most about where we sit today. I have a great team of people around me. And then let's see what else. From a decision standpoint, and this is, you and I have talked about this over the years. At some point with the deal, you just need to jump. And if you don't have a certain level of risk tolerance, and maybe it's on the higher end, this development game's not for you. Like, take your money, put it in a mutual fund, go play golf, and
100%.
God bless you.
I agree.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But there's no pro forma that's going to completely eliminate risk, right? And so you see these people trying to figure it out. If the numbers make sense and the margins are decent, just get after it already.
The greater the risk, the greater the reward. I mean, it's a saying for a reason. Yeah. And when you want to minimize risk is when you're buying something cash flowing already, that you're buying based on the cash flow. You weren't doing that. Now, right now, you have a very successful private school system. But there's got to be something that you learn that you wouldn't want to do again, or you don't want to do, or you avoid at all costs. What is it?
Okay, from a developer standpoint, well, I don't know. This is a tough one for me. I don't really do regrets. Like, what's the point? But I would say that, I guess this is from a developer standpoint. What do you avoid? I think especially as you start having a little success, right? People are patting you on the back. I think you need to avoid getting too full of yourself, getting too cocky, having people think, you got the golden touch. Because I think that leads to a lot of bad decisions. in every aspect of your life, but one of them being development. And so I think it's just important to stay grounded. It's important to know what your mission is, why you're doing it, not chase money, chase the mission. The money always follows, right? If you're mission driven, purpose driven, and it's just a lot more fun that way. So I guess I would avoid that. That's a long answer to what would I avoid. You got to stay humble. We don't have this written anywhere, like it's not on a tagline. But my dad, who's a friend of yours also, Pastor Carl, he said to us, and this is stuck for 20 years, if we work hard, stay humble, and give God all the glory, we'll be just fine. And that's true, right? No matter how big the business gets, how many employees you have, if you just keep working hard, keep staying humble, and you give all the glory to God, you're going to be fine. And so I think avoiding the temptation of going the other way on that, right? And it is a temptation, especially the more you're blessed.
I'm a witness to that. I had to convince you for months to put offside wheels in your car because you didn't want to put a lot of big wheels in your car.
You did get my rims, and I appreciate that.
I was like, what are you doing?
Although
you
I
get
did
to
get
enjoy
all
it.
the comments that I was afraid of, but I love those rims. So
Of
we're
course.
good.
That truck looks sick. And I say, why? You're being successful. Once in a while, you got to give yourself a gift. I give myself a gift every time I do something really good. That is like amazing advice. From a developer standpoint, I mean, not everybody will put God in the center, but
No, but it applies in that you hit on a couple, right? And you start to think you're bulletproof. Oh, right? I think that's always, you're right on the edge then. And so
when you decided to do this, I noticed in other developers and in you, I have to say this, since I know you personally, I believe that you kind of almost let things come to you. So you flow. You have no idea how many times you're talking to a developer. He has an architect that he knows in Cuba, and he wants to do it with him. But that's not the right architect to deal with a particular municipality, and it won't be able to get that done. Or maybe the contractor is a friend of yours, and then they just get stuck in this group of people. And you, at that point, were very open to receive some information. I mean, is this the right lawyer? It turned out to be a good lawyer. Mm-hmm. Is this the right contractor? At the time, it turned out to be a good contractor. And you went through the process in a very smooth way. Not everybody's like that. Once you hear the word developer, now you call all the shots. You're bragging. You have all this information coming to you, and you're turning out to make mistakes. You, in many occasions, I wouldn't want to use the word naive because that's not fair. Because you went to school, you're a smart man, but you weren't a developer. And you weren't really asking mentors to help you do it. You were just winging it. And I saw how you were able to manage so many different people, banks, etc. After the crash, I mean, things were tough. And that's when the opportunity came up. Very inspirational to me because you not only stay in South Florida, you get on a plane and you go to different states. Now you got to deal with a different architect, with a different contractor, with different people, and you didn't care. And now you're growing. I would love to be able to have, I guess, those guts to do sometimes things that I want to do. And again, not blowing smoke. It's just being a developer is tough. You get in this cookie cutter thing and you learn, but you're done very good. Let me ask you, which brings relationships. I was talking about that for a reason. In real estate, we're watching this, that we're in real estate. The last thing I was thinking is I'm going to make some money because I make money with you, right? Obviously, I was the broker, the procuring cause of these transactions. So I made money. That's what we all striving to make money, right? But my intentions were selfish, were my kids.
Yep.
And then I know you like me, I like you, my kids are going there, I'm paying my tuition, I do what I do, you saw success, people will talk about me and vice versa. And then we turn out to do business. Sometimes we always just like, how do I make money with this guy? And it doesn't really work that way.
Yep.
My vision was personal, it was the one I wanted. How do I help this school stay here? And I don't have to send my kids to Columbus or Belen.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with those two schools, very good schools. They would my kids would have gone through Columbus like this because of their uncles. But I just wanted my kids not to be moving around.
Yeah.
And now I feel that it's almost the same of what your dad said. Keep working hard for what you want. Mm-hmm. And it turned out well. Let me ask you, so in business, a business lesson, a life lesson.
I don't think anyone has had success without strong, trusted relationships within their life, right? I didn't know about a lot of things. I used to sit in meetings with the bank, and I'd write stuff down, and everybody'd leave, and I'd start Googling, what's a debt service coverage ratio, right? And you just sit there and kind of fake it, right? Well, they say fake it till you make it. I did that for a long time of just listening and then figuring out what everybody's talking about and then circling back, right? And then I went to business school and got my MBA and all that stuff. But mostly I was just learning stuff or
In the real world.
yeah, learning stuff in the real world, right? By the time I went to business school, I was just saying, oh, that's why we do that thing we already do, because it's called this, right? And so I think with relationships, it's super important, right? You have to have trusted relationships. And I think successful people have them, number one. And going back to the other point, not thinking you're always King Kong, are willing to say, this guy knows more than me, right? And so how can he help me accomplish our mission? And that's kind of like the same thing with everything, right? With networking, you hear a lot of people. I'll be honest, I don't go to networking events. I'm not a big networking event fan. I don't think it's something that's on your agenda. Like Thursday must network from 6 to 7.
I don't do that either.
I think networking is like a mindset, right? If I meet you on the golf course, I want to know who you are, what you do, and how we can help each other.
Well, that's networking.
Exactly.
Oh,
but
no,
it's not a networking event.
Oh, no, forget the event. But some people actually go and play golf with 4 people, 3 people, and they
Sure.
don't know. They finish the course, and they don't know what happened. Who are you? What you do? That's crazy.
No, to me, an entrepreneur is always networking, right? Like an entrepreneur has a curiosity about things, right? We've got a curiosity about, hey, what does he do? How does his business run? I wonder what that's like. And what do you do? And so to me, an entrepreneur is always networking, right? Without going to a networking event or without it being specific. And so I think networking is a huge part of what you do, but I don't think it's like a task list. I think it's just like a state of mind. Like I meet somebody, I am genuinely curious. And it's not like I'm manipulative. I'm not trying to use you. No, I'm genuinely curious about what you do, like who you are. I want to know how your business is set up. It's interesting to me, right? And can I learn anything from that? And so I think relationships, networking are a big key, to everything.
You bring the human element to the table, obviously.
Yeah.
Who are you? Welcome. Yeah. Just the way it happened with us, very kosher.
Yeah.
It just happened like that. I couldn't think, I couldn't pay money to think that you and I were going to do business.
Yeah.
That never looked at you like that, but it did. Tell me a little bit about all the ups and downs with me. How about you talk about that check that I lost?
Okay. I'll talk about the check, but I'll do it in a bigger context. All right. So, like I said earlier, no one does it alone, right? You can't scale unless you have good people. And that becomes more and more important as people are making more and more decisions with more and more zeros attached to them, right? And so you have to have good people that you trust. If you're living in the Miami market, you better trust some people because this is a tough market, right? So I trusted Hector. That was point one, right? Like that was kind of the starting point. And so we started doing deals. And I knew, despite all the diagnoses you probably have, and all the things, all the issues, right? I knew deep down there was a good, solid guy that we had mutual respect for each other and that we could trust each other. And so as a result, I was willing to get into business with you to the point of you losing a $300,000 check of mine. I guess it got caught left in a rental car or something. The bank not voiding it because it hasn't been cashed, and me writing you another $300,000 check. So now I'm out $600,000 just in case. And I'll be honest, I never really was worried about it, right? I just knew this was Hector being Hector, and it happens, and we'll figure it out. But it never really, so that to me is trust, right? And as I said earlier, you've been a good partner in all the stuff we've done. And you've been creative too. Maybe that's another point, right? You have to, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, if you're going to be a developer, you better be creative. Right?
Yeah, we were created there, and in the
creative.
special needs, very creative.
Very creative, right? And sometimes I get questioned, like, by my own team, right? There'll be an idea, and they're like, well, let's do let's just say the campus in Dallas. And we're talking about it, and they're like, no, you said it, we're going to do it. O sea, as they say in Spanish, vas a encontrar la vuelta, right? Like, you're going to figure it out. And I'm like, well, I don't know that's true. We have had things that we do that go away, but I think my job, or the developer's job, is to just keep pushing, right? Like, what am I supposed to do? I pray on it, right? I give it to God. But then what am I supposed to do? Work like 60%. And if it's supposed to happen, it'll happen. If God wills it, at 60%, it'll happen. No, my job is to go 100 miles an hour, 100%. If you say no to this, let's do it here. If you say no to that, let's do it here, right? And you just keep working forward. And then if it goes away, it goes away. It wasn't God's will. But we did that how many times, right? You get on the call, oh, now the guy wants this. Figuring it out, this, that, right? So I think you have to have risk tolerance. You have to have creativity. You have to have people you trust.
No, well, I also, by grace of God, you end up owning something that you were never going to own. It was going to be there, and you were going to pay rent for the rest of the existence of this business.
Yeah.
But yet, through things, somebody ends up building the building for you to then give you the key.
Yep.
And that's insane. But yes, creative. You got to be creative. You have to have faith. You have to work hard. Not everybody thinks like you, Pastor Carlos, because of you went to business schools. So you know that there's something out there, right? That you have to go do it on your own. You have to you got to respect numbers.
Yep.
And faith alone, I don't want to talk bad about that, but in business, I guess they clash. So your ability to deal with both, to know that you got to do what you must do.
Yeah. So I'm a Lutheran, right? So Martin Luther has a great quote. He says, work all day like everything depends on you, and then sleep all night knowing that it's all in God's hands, right? And that's how you do it, right? So you spend all day on the spreadsheet, finding the workaround, getting through zoning. Think about Delray, the war, right? Getting through all that. And you work like crazy, like you're the only thing that's going to move this forward. And then you say your prayer at night and you sleep tranquilo, right? Like relaxed, because God's got it. If he's got it. If it wasn't his will, that's okay too, right?
True.
But it takes a lot of the pressure off, if we're just going to be totally honest. That deal, and I don't know if I ever told you that, but before we closed on that land for the special needs school, I had that lined up to buy.
Of course.
Like we were,
no.
we were going to buy it, and then it went under contract.
It was a parent of
and we had it all lined up to buy. I'm like, sweet, it's all set, and then we get the call. Oh, I just put it under contract. Don't worry. He's going to ask for an extension because everybody in Miami asks for an extension. When he does, I'll void the contract. All right, we call back. Guess what? He closed.
No.
Right on time.
No. How about this? When money was non-refundable,
Yep.
in a bar, I bump into the new owner. And I said, what do you mean you're buying that property? Yeah, I'm buying that property. Oh, no, wait, we weren't going to buy it for this. Oh, perfect. I'll be your landlord.
Yeah.
So they hadn't even closed, and we were already talking to someone that just wanted it to be a landlord.
Yeah.
From there
to where we ended
so
up.
many things went through that you own the property. You own
And
the
that's the
building.
thing, is what we said with all that, right? Like, you work hard, but finally, I can tell you this: I've seen it several times where we end up in a spot better than we had hoped, right?
Sure.
And I just think that's God's will. I mean, that's my approach to it, right?
I had a vision, a dream,
Okay.
and this is crazy. Maybe 4 years ago, that we were having this conversation. Why? And now I just realized. Because obviously in business, a lot of people don't talk about things happen, but things happen. I mean, we did several deals, but I love to see how my last 14-year-old kid, it's the last one there after the other two that graduated. It's just like, I'm proud. One day, 10 years, 20 years from now, and the school is just renowned. I know my kids graduated from that, and there was something that we did. Obviously, all glory to God, and then all glory to you from the
but we're all
business
part of it.
standpoint. But we're all part of something.
For
You know,
sure.
I feel so excited when I pass by in 58. It's almost like, I don't know, like I salute to the school. That school means a lot to me because of that.
Yeah.
The 350,000, I believe it's only fair that I defend myself a little bit. There's no defending. I was in a rental car and I left it in the center box.
I'm still waiting for the defend part.
No, that's it. I left it there. I took the car back. I was dying. I have a nice car and I'm driving this piece of garbage that they give me as a rental and I couldn't wait to get out. And I just gave the car back and I forgot. With 300 grand check in it. Thank God.
Like I said, I think it only accentuated the fact that I trust you. Because especially in Miami, anybody else, I'd be calling the police.
Just wait. Or let's just wait for that check to show up somewhere.
Exactly.
Bring me the check. You wrote another check.
Yeah. Which also, by the way, when was that? That had to be like, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. That's a lot of money for us.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
No. I know
going out another
you
300
trusted me.
Yeah.
I know Pastor Carl was having issues. Was having his mind is like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Thank you for that. But from the personal, get 2 advices. I love it. Work like it's all you, and then sleep like it's all God, right? And what was the other one?
Work hard, stay humble, give God all the glory. I got another one for you. How about don't take yourself too seriously, right? Like, think about that, how much we clown around, right? And first of all, nobody likes that guy, right, who takes himself too seriously. And I think fewer people want to work with him. So when you're with your group, just relax. I don't care what your title is, president, CEO, and chairman of the board. You're just a dude like the rest of us. We're all just dudes, right? You're better at some things than others and worse at other things, right? And we all have the same mom who's going to put us in our place, the same dad we respect, and finally the same God above. So just relax. Don't take yourself too seriously. It makes everything a lot more fun that way. I think we do our best work that way when we're having fun. So that would be another personal, that's a culture that we try to have, right? Like, the other thing is, right, in development, like, we're not exactly curing cancer, okay? So everybody just take it down a notch.
You got lucky you make some money, that's it.
Yeah, like, I mean, this isn't that big of a deal. Those are, like, principles that we live by, right? Like, don't live in a bad decision, right? Recognize it and get out, right? Forget the past, okay? The only thing that matters from a business perspective is tomorrow, right? Like, what's done is done.
For sure.
The money's spent, the money's earned. What happens tomorrow? Do we go up or do we go down? And that's what should be driving our decisions. But so many people are living back here. Right? Oh, no, but we spent this money here and we did this and we did. It's irrelevant, right? It really is.
Yeah, I have an example. You wanted to get rid of one of their campuses.
Yeah.
And, the money wasn't going to be there at the time. And now you're looking to expand the campus.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's...
Yeah, and that was our decision. Basically.
You could have been really upset about the fact that you couldn't get the money then.
Yeah.
And look at you now growing.
No, and we said to ourselves, what does tomorrow look like, right? Like, not what's all the pain that we've had, right? All the pain we've experienced over these years, all the money we've dumped into it these years. What happens tomorrow? And our decision was, tomorrow's going to be good. Like, yeah, it's hurt to get here, but tomorrow's going to be good. And so we stayed in, right? And it's been super blessed ever since. So I think that's a key thing, though, like for leaders, right, is to be able to get their group there, because most people don't think that way. Most people are emotional, first of all, right? And, but this kind of hurts if I do this, and I'm admitting I lost. That doesn't have any place in business, in my opinion. It's where are we at today and where are we going tomorrow, and getting the group to see it that way.
Congrats. Keep growing. Your vision is great. What is the vision? Let's just put it in there. What is the school vision? Because it's not just a school.
Our vision in like a 3 words or 5 words, whatever it is, share Christ's love with this community, with the students. Just share Christ's love, right? Like, we do excellence in Christian education. So We like to think we have nice facilities. I know we have a good educational product. If you don't believe me, you can believe the great schools that our kids are accepted into. We get Ivy League schools, West Point. So we're doing a good job on the educational side. But most importantly, every day our kids are hearing the love of Christ. Like every day. We start the day in prayer. We end the day in prayer. We pray before we eat. We have religion every day. We have chapel every week. Like that's a non-negotiable, right? And so
in today's age, yeah, people should pay for that type of education because it doesn't exist.
No, and so that's our goal, right? Is to change lives, right, through Christ. And I won't get to necessarily see the result, right? This isn't a Bitcoin that I'm buying today. I'm going to get to see, but you trust it, and you know that God's going to work it according to His will and on His timeline. But that's what we're here to do. That's what we feel called to do, and we're blessed to get to do it every day.
Very proud of you. Congratulations. Great vision. And I'm glad that my kids were part of it. I was part of it.
Thanks, brother.